Hey everybody, it's been a little while since I did a video, and the reason is because I have moved to another house and I'm, busy unpacking and trying to set up a little studio in the basement here. And in the process, I lost the adapter for my camera, so I can't do any video of myself talking you through this. So it's just going to be the software recording my desktop. But anyways, I am going to model a relatively low poly briefcase. All right, just for the fun of it, just to get back into modeling. And once I get my adapter, I'll be back on camera as well. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm over here in the startup scene in Blender. I've just switched over to Cycles Render, and I've got my screencast keys on. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the camera and the light, and I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to take the cube, and I think I'll just move it up for the time being. And let's look down from the top and zoom in, and let's go into edit mode. And I want to scale this in the X. I'm going to hold down Control to constrain it until I get what I think looks sort of like the top of a briefcase, maybe that kind of view. I'm going to hit 1 to go into front view and 5 for orthographic, and I'm going to hit SZ to scale in the Z. I'll hold down Control again just to snap it, and I'm just going to make the top part right here of the briefcase. I guess maybe that thick is going to be all right. I don't care if it's resting on the ground or not. All right, well, we'll start with that. I'm going to go into face selection, and I'm going to select the top face, and I'm going to go Control B to bevel, and I'm going to pull back, and I'm just going to create that effect right there, and that's going to be it. I'm going to select the bottom face, and I'm going to delete it. X faces, I'm not going to need that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just tilt this a little bit by holding my middle mouse button, scroll wheel, whatever. And I'm going to put some edge loops. I'm going to put 4 edge loops. So I'm going to go 1. I just did Control R, and then I'm going to roll my mouse wheel. 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to click and accept that. Now these are bent slightly, so I'm going to Shift Alt and click while I'm in edge selection, and I'm going to scale these in the X so that all the points are at X equals 0. So I'm going to go SX0, and that will straighten that. Deselect. And let's grab the next one, Shift Alt and click that, SX0. And the next one, Shift Alt and click those, SX0. And deselect, and the last one, SX0. So now they're all straight. Now I'm going to, I think I'm going to switch. I'm going to hit N to open up the side panel, and I'm going to come down to here, shading, I'm going to put on ambient occlusion and matte cap, and I'm going to switch to that one. I almost always use it. It's just good for modeling. I'm going to close that, and I'm also going to open display and close the grid floor, and to close that. Now I'm going to Shift Alt and click that edge, and I can look from the top. And I'm going to scale these in the X outwards equally. So I'm going to go SX, and I'm going to pull away, and I'm going to move that edge to about there. Deselect, Shift Alt and click that one, and do the same thing, SX, and pull them out. And what I want to do is create some sort of like bands, like leather bands that would go around here with some stitching. All right, so with those in position there, I am going to switch over to face selection, and I'm going to click on one of these lines in between the polys, and Shift Alt and click, and that'll select the whole amount, whole row of them. I'm going to do that for that one as well. And I'm going to press E to extrude and accept. And then I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so I can see this from the side. I'm going to press Alt S, not just S, Alt S, and then pull down a little bit. Alt S, pull down, and that's going to move them out. All right, I guess I need to be in individual origins for that. Alt S, and I'm going to pull. No, geez, what's going on here? Let's do that again. Let's go back into median point. This should work. E, Alt S, pull down. That's what I wanted right there. Okay, I just want a little bit of height on those. I don't know why it didn't work the first time. Anyhow, now that I've got that, I want to bevel these edges as well. So I'll go into edge selection, and I'm just doing Control Tab to do that. You could do it down here. And what I mean is I want to Shift Alt and click that edge, the top one, and this edge. And I'll do it at the same time. We'll come over here and select that edge and that edge. So I've got all 4 of those top outer edges, and I'm going to bevel those so that we get a similar look as we had here. Control B, pull back, give it a bit of a bevel to give that sort of low poly kind of look. All right, so I'm creating the top part of my briefcase. Now hopefully that's not too thick. I could always change that if I wanted to. The idea would be that I would eventually shift D and rotate X 180 to create the bottom, and I would have 2 of them like this, but I'll make the bottom one bigger. So this may be a piece of luggage or a briefcase. I'm not quite sure at this point. I'm going to delete that though for the moment, and I want to put a little rim on this. And so what I'll do is I'll Shift S cursor to selected, make sure it's selected, and I'm going to go Shift A, and I'm going to bring in a plane, and I'll bring it down a bit, and I'm going to look down from the top, and I'll go into edit mode, and I'll go into wireframe, SX, and I'm going to pull it out just a little bit past there. And I'm also going to scale this in the Y, and I want it a little bit outside of these straps. All right, so let's just have a look at that, and we'll see. Let's go back into solid view. While we're still in edit mode, let's go E to extrude and pull it down just a little bit. Now, my polys may be flipped, so I'm just going to select it all, A a couple times, and Control N, and do that. And let's go back into object mode, and let's pull this up just so that it makes contact. And I just want to see that the straps seem like they're inside, and that the distance from here to here and here to here is roughly equal. And it doesn't quite look like it is, so I'm going to work on that just a little bit. I am going to scale a little bit more in the X, SX, and hold down Shift and pull just like that. That's pretty close. Now what we'll do is in edge selection, I'm going to Shift Alt and click that edge there, and I didn't get everything, so I'm going to have to go around and make sure that it all gets selected. I could do it that way, or I could select the face itself. Shift Alt and click the bottom one as well, and I'm going to put a little bevel on this as well. Okay, so I've got all the edges selected that I want. I'll zoom in a bit, and I'm going to go Control B, and I'm going to pull down just a little bit like that. Again, just following the theme. Let's look in front view and hit the period key. Oh, nothing is selected. Hit the period key to zoom right in. I just want to make sure that this thing is making contact. Now, I'm not going to, oh, it's not yet. I'm not going to remove any more faces on this to cut down on polys. I am going to try to move that up though a little bit more. No, that's probably good enough. I'm not going to remove this face. I don't think I'm going to do that. And I'm not going to remove the top face. I'm just going to leave it like that. And with that done, I want to put stitching on. I don't think I'll join it yet. So let's work on this stitching part. I'm just going to take a sip of coffee. All right, so to do this, just choose one of the bands, let's say this one, and go into edit mode, and in face selection, I'm going to just select that face, Shift S, cursor to selected to bring my 3D cursor there and come back out. And I'm going to go Shift A, mesh, bring it a cube, and go into edit mode, and I'm going to scale it way, way, way down. I'm going to zoom in on that. Period key to zoom in. Let's move it over and scale this in the X. And I'm making like a piece of stitching, so I want it pretty small. Scale it in the Z. Let's bring it all up and see. Yeah, I'm still going to make it, scale it in the Z. And we'll scale it in the Y a bit more. I want it a bit longer than wider. I want to, with it all selected, I want to go, you'll notice that it's a little dark on the top compared to the sides, so I think my polys are not all facing out. So I'm going to go Control N, watch the colors. There, see, they flipped. I'm also going to select that top face, and I'm going to go Control B, and I'm just going to bevel it down, just one like that. Again, keeping in with the theme of all these other bevels. I'm going to try to get the underside, select that bottom face, and X faces, delete the faces, and it may still be too thick, or too tall, so I'm going to go scale in the Z, and that will affect the bevel. And if I really want to, I could grab that edge and I could pull it down a bit more to accentuate the bevel, now that it's shorter. Let's go back into object mode, and you'll note that my origin and the 3D cursor are over here, not on my object. That's because I brought in my object right there, and then I moved it in edit mode. So with it selected, I'm going to click on Set Origin and Origin to Geometry. That'll move the gizmo or transform tool back to that. And then I can focus in on this a little bit better. I'm going to pull this down so it makes contact, although that's not really important because I'm not going to be using it here. Just trying to get a sense of how it would look. I'm actually going to start on one of these angles and get the size that I want. So I'm going to bring this down. Is that the front? Yeah, that's the front. Okay, cool. So I'm going to bring it down there. Let's hit 3 for a side view. Okay. And in fact, let's hit Control 3 for the other side. I think that's the side that I want. Yeah, that's the closer side. All right, as you can see, it looks pretty long if I want to put stitching down here. So I'll go back into edit mode and I'll select it. And I'm going to scale this in the Y so that I could fit 2 or 3 of them down there. Let's hit the period key to zoom in, and let's just look and see. I think I'm going to scale this in the X a little bit more again so it looks longer. All right, let's go back into object mode and bring it down here, and then let's rotate in the X and just start trying to get this to work right, our X to rotate it right. And I'll just pull it in like that, let's say, and let's have a look at that. All right, now slide it there. And a good thing that you can do is you can come down here, instead of global, switch to normal, and then you can adjust it a little bit nicer. In fact, I don't think I want it there because I am going to copy it, Shift D, and then pull just another one down, and imagine maybe I'm only going to get 2 pieces of thread or stitching at that spot. And consider the distance here because I want to roughly emulate that distance along the top. So let's say I like that. So let's grab that piece, Shift D, and I'm going to go back to global, and I'm going to just move it over here, and then I'm going to hit N to open up the side panel, and under rotation I'm going to set this back to 0, and then I'm going to pop this up. I can close that, and let's zoom in on this, and let's try to get, I can go Control 3 again, a similar depth for the stitching, and kind of a similar distance. Now this is going to take some work to get it exact, and I don't think I'm going to screw around with it too long. But with that there, I'm going to array it along this flat part. All right, so I'm going to go in the Y direction. So let's come over here to the wrench icon and choose Add Modifier, Array. I want to go in the Y direction, but it's going to be this way. And let's get rid of the X, make that 0. And let's come in and just have a look at the distance between those two versus that. Let's make it, let's try 1.6. And let's now, and this is going to blow some polys, let's increase the count and see if we can get it nicely to at the end. All right, that's not too bad for distance. Maybe I can pull it a little bit more. If I bump this up to 1.7, let's try a little bit of that. Let's see how that looks. It looks relatively continuous. I think it looks all right. And don't forget to save your work periodically. With that done, let's take this again and copy it. Shift D, and then take off the array and move this one out. Control 3 to look from the side. And we're going to rotate this, rotate X 90, and then we're going to move into position on this vertical wall here. Let's hit the period key to zoom in, get the approximate depth for this, and bring it up. and try to again have a similar distance if at all possible. And for this part, I don't think, well, maybe I will array it, will I? In the Z. Might as well give it a try. Array in the Z, just find out which direction it is. All right, let's get rid of that. All right, it's going funny, and so therefore what I want to do is go Control A, apply rotation and scale. And when I was, I guess, scaling this and rotating it, I didn't do it in edit mode, I did it in object mode, and that sometimes will affect things. So I'm going to pull this down now, and everything is behaving properly. I just want to get maybe a similar distance. I think it was 1.6 before. But let's have a look at the depth. I think maybe they're not quite out far enough. And again, it's a small detail. All right, let's try increasing the count on this. Now, I do need to be a little careful because I'm going to be putting on some sort of, I guess where the lock is, or the mechanism to seal the top and the bottom, and it's going to overlap. So I may have to delete some pieces of stitching, but I'm fine with that for now. So let's take that, let's just go ahead and apply that, and let's go ahead and apply that. And now what I can do is I can, I want these pieces of stitching to be exactly the same on the back. So what we can do is we select the whole top, Shift S, cursor to selected, and then select, let's maybe join these two pieces. Control J, so they'll act as one piece. I like to set the origin of geometry right in the middle. I don't know that it's necessary. I'm going to mirror these to the back with this object as the mirror object. All right, so I've selected it, and because it's essentially, you know, balanced on either side, I went Shift S, cursor to selected. So the 3D cursor is right in the middle of this. So if I now select these two that I just joined, and I go Add Modifier, Mirror, and then go with the eyedropper, the mirror object is that, and the axis is the Y axis. Get rid of the X, okay? It's along the Y. Then those should be mirrored exactly to the other side. Hopefully, anyhow. All right, and at the same depth and everything. And that looks all right. And I'm going to do the same thing. I can go ahead and apply that with these pieces right here. Okay, they are all one piece. And I don't need, well, I can do origin of geometry. I don't think it would really matter. I'm going to mirror them with respect to this in the Y, and they show up on that side as well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and apply that. Make sure everything is applied. I'm now going to take all of these. Oh, what am I done here? Select that, shift select that, shift select the top ones. Why is it going funny for me? Yeah, let's do that again. Grab these ones, shift and grab these ones, shift and grab these ones. Okay, maybe something's not applied, I don't know. All right, let's do it a bit at a time. Control J. Control J. And do I have everything now? All one piece. Let's hit H to hide. Yep, Alt H to bring it back. Okay, so I've got stitching there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to Shift D and copy and just drag it over to here. And I can look from the top if I want to mess around with the exact position. So I'm going to go GX, grab, or go in the X and just pull them a bit. And let's say I like that. I'm now going to select this one and this one, shift and click that one, and Control J, join them. I'll put origin to geometry. And I'm going to do the same thing. I've got my 3D cursor right in the middle here. I'm going to mirror them across to this strap. All right, so I'm going to add mirror, add modifier, mirror with respect to this in the X, and it should already put them in the right spot. Okay, you can see that the polys are going up, but not by too much. This is going to be the most poly intensive, if that makes sense. I'm going to go hit apply. All right, so that's much of the top section. Now, I think I could probably join this to there. And do I have these? I think I could. I don't think I'll join those yet. I think I'm going to take the top and I'm going to duplicate it and start making the bottom, and then I'll worry about the stitching. Shift D, rotate X 180, and I'm going to pull this down. And I don't want them the exact equal size, because I'm going to put a handle on this. So I want this bottom piece to be a little bit bigger. This is starting to look a little bit more like some kind of a chest or a army medical kit or something like that, rather than a briefcase. So who knows, maybe I'll be changing the title. I'm going to look from the front though, and I'm going to go into edit mode and Z wireframe. I'm going to lengthen this a little bit. Let's try just with, let's go into vertex selection. I'm going to box select, draw a rectangle around there. If I pull down, it won't change the curvature of my bevel at all. And so I can make the bottom, you know, I can make it something like that if I wanted to. Let's go back into solid view and have a look at that. And you can see what that's done. Then I could put a handle right here in the middle, and it'd be a big briefcase or suitcase or something like that. Now, did I join this piece? Yeah, that's all one piece, right? Okay, cool. So we're going to have to deal with the stitching. So let's do this. Let's set the origin to what did I just do? Set origin to geometry. And that's better. And get a sip of coffee, and then we're going to duplicate this. And we'll just have a little bit of touch up to do. Shift D, rotate X 180. Now the stitching is there, but it's not exactly in the right place. Let's look from the side, 3, and let's start pulling this one down. And then we'll zoom in just a moment. Well, we're doing it now. Let's start zooming in and seeing if I can. Let's go GZ and start pulling it up and seeing if we can get it to look decent. All right, I pulled it up too much, did I? Let's pull it down a little bit so that it pokes through there. Okay, we're starting to get it, but not quite enough, I guess. Let's pull it down a little bit more. Not that you're necessarily going to see the bottom, although I guess you might if, depending on how I do this stuff. Okay, let's look at 3. What happened to my model there? All right, I think I want them to come out. Let's look at the top and see. Well, they don't look much different there. All right, well, here's what we need to do now. We're going to need to just copy a few more up, but I don't know how high to make the thread go yet, because I want to put that little, sort of like the locking mechanism I was talking to you about right up there. So maybe I'll build that first. All right, let's go ahead and save that. And let's look from the front, and I've got my 3D cursor right there. Maybe I will select, let's see. If I go into edit mode, deselect that. And if I, in face selection, select this, well, no, you know what? Let's get it even more exact. Let's select the top, and let's select that face itself. Because by eye, I put these down and I move this one over. It might not be the exact center, and I don't think it is. But let's go Shift S, cursor selected on that piece, come back into object mode, and then bring in another plane. Rotate X 90. And in edit mode, let's just start scaling. I want it to be wider than this strap though, and I want it to be roughly in the middle. Now I may have to move the bottom, this whole bottom piece up a little bit. There's a bit of a gap, but it might be all right. So we're trying to get this roughly centered. And then let's scale in the Z a bit, like that. And it's seeing, you know, so equal on that side and on that side. That looks all right. Okay, let's zoom in on that. Let's go E, and I want to pull it out past these pieces here. In fact, I think I want to pull it out more and select everything, and I want it to cut into, I want it to push into the base, but I'm going to delete the back face. It's not going to make much difference, but I'm going to do it anyhow. Okay, and then I'm going to select it all, and I'm going to bring it in so that it sort of touches the briefcase or whatever that is, like that. And then I'm going to take this front face and I'm going to pull it out just a little bit more past these. So I would have that so far. Now I may have to pull it out more because I'm about to bevel this. Let's do a rotation and scale just in case. Let's grab this face and go Control B and pull back. That may actually be okay because it didn't cut into these. I just want a little bit of that kind of bevel. Let's do origin of geometry too and get things all centered up. Whether I like that width or not, I kind of feel like it's a little bit wide. I'm going to select it all and scale in the X. Just bring it in just a little bit. I might even want in the Z direction. Like that. So this is what I was talking about these stitching there. If I don't do it that way, if I leave it like that, then I don't have to mess with that stitching there, and maybe that's just fine. Okay. It just looks a little small for that size of briefcase. So you know what I might do? Let's select it and let's try scaling the Z. And what if I do make it bigger? And I deal with the stitching. I think I like it better like that. And so I'll deal with the stitching in a bit. Now let me just have a quick look at what I did here. I did an inset and a square. Alright, well you could do whatever design you want, but sticking with the low poly idea, I'm going to select that face right there, and I'll try inset and see how well that works. Yeah, that worked okay. I'm going to inset like that, then I'm going to scale in the X. I'll scale in the Z a little bit, and I'm just going to pull this over here. And I'm going to hit E to extrude, and I'm going to pull it in. Just like that. Alright. Is this what I want to be doing? I want to be doing one of those square ones. Yeah. And then I'll do a circle inside it. Okay. So let's look at the front view again and focus in on that. And let's hit I to inset again. And let's hit E and bring it out. How far doesn't really matter. Okay, cool. Now I'll try, let's try W subdivide. Yeah, that works okay. And let's scale this in the Z and in the X a little bit. And we'll get a little bit of a weird look. I just want to make this look a little bit squarish. And then I'm going to hit W and I'm going to choose Loop Tools and choose Circle. Oh, and that didn't work. Okay, let's just grab these. It should work. Global W, Loop Tools, Circle. Oh, I'm getting some weird effects. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just deselect at that point. And let's have a look at this. I do like that look right there. And so what I might do is I might select it, and in edge selection, select this outer edge all the way around and bevel that. Control B, just like that. All right, so that I'm again doing the same kind of thing all the way along. All right, so it throws a little bit of light as well. It's okay to have a slightly different design. In fact, it might be cool to take all of these. Let's just try this. Hit I twice, I, and get 4 different regions. And let's try insetting them and seeing what that looks like. And in individual origins, let's try scaling them so that they'll each scale separately and individually. Scale in the X to give like a slopey look. Scale in the Z. And do that. I'm not going to deselect them yet. I might want to bring them out. I don't know what the hell that is. But I think I like it. So, yeah. All right, good enough. All right, and with that whole object selected, I'm going to go Shift-S, cursor to selected, and I'm going to bring in another cube. In edit mode, I'm going to scale it down because I can't even see what I'm doing here. Let's scale it down, bring it over here. Let's bring it out. And let's scale this in the Z. Let's remove this back face here. And I'm going to have to flip some polys, I see. Okay, because of the discolorations. Control N, that'll fix that. Let's pull it back into there. And let's do origin of geometry just to set everything up. Let's go back into edit mode and grab this face and just pull it down a bit. And then let's bevel it. Control B. And let's do that. And that might still be too high up. I can do that. And that is my little mechanism. But I don't want it in line with the thread exactly. You know. How about that? Or do I only want 2 of these? Why would I have 2 of them? Huh. All right, that's good. I'm going to take this and I'm going to click that. And I'm going to Control J to join them and save. And I'm going to select this top part again, and I'm going to Shift S, cursor to selected, because I want to mirror this across to the other side. Select it, mirror with respect to the top, and it's done its job. I'm not going to apply it yet in case there's something else I want to do. On the other hand, I think I will, because I think I'm done with that. All right, so let's go back in here to these in edit mode and just select one face on both of these and go Control L. That'll select all that's linked to them, and X vertices to get rid of them. Let's do the same on this side. Control L, X vertices, and now let's just have a look and see. Yeah, the thread comes down far enough. Again, it's a bit cartoony. Let's now go into here, front view, in edit mode, and let's select a piece of each of these. Control L. Now, while I'm in edit mode, let's do this side too. So Shift and click that one and that one, Control L. So I now have all of those selected on both sides, and I just need to look at one. All right. Shift D, G, Z by I. Shift D, G, Z. Shift D, G, no, not that, G, Z. All right. That's what I've got. All right, I like it. So I'm going to select the thread here and the top and Control J. Select the thread here and the bottom, Control J. Select these, maybe. Am I happy? Sure. These and the top, Control J. Now I joined them to the top and I still have the bottom separate. I just want to be sure as I move this that I like it. That's fine. That's good enough for me. And I've got them, don't have them on the back, I see. Oh, so I made a small error, I see. Well, in that case, that's all right, because I can fix this. I can go back into, wait, am I upside down? Where am I? That's like a front view. Okay, so what have I done? Control 1 is the back. All right, I don't have them on the back there. I do have them on the front. I can grab these, though, and go into edit mode, and here's what I can do. What can I do? I got that, I got that. Well, I might just have to do them individually like this. And just select all of the ones, not that, on the vertical face there. It's a shame that I didn't think of that. I did that before as well, though. Control L. So I got all those. I'm going to do these ones too. Do them at the same time. I can do it this way. It just takes just a little bit longer. Sorry about that. There we go. Control L. Let's just make sure. Yeah, Okay, so I got those, I got those. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Shift D, P to make them a new object by selection. And I select them like that, make sure my origin and geometry is right in the center. And I think I'm just going to, can I just mirror these now to the back? Nah, you know what I'll do? I'm gonna rotate them. Rotate Z 180, and I'm gonna pull them to the back, and I'm gonna work on them. I'm gonna work on just positioning them. In fact, because the clips aren't at the back, maybe this was a bit of a fortuitous error, if that makes any sense at all, because these maybe need to go up a little higher if I care that much about it. Maybe I need another couple. Control L. Control L, Shift D, GZ, or maybe just one. I think that's good enough. Let's take these new ones in the back, Control J. Save. Oh boy, saved by the bell. All right, let's, while we're at the back, let's, Control 1 is the back. Let's go into edit mode and let's select this face right there, which is central. Shift S, cursor to selected, and let's bring in a cylinder, mesh cylinder, but let's change this to 6 vertices. And then let's rotate Y 90, and in that let's scale. Okay, and I want to let's focus in on that. I want to position this like that. Scale this in the X. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's grab that face and this face. Oh, jeez. Let's go back to medium point and Control B and do that. Okay. Save. Let's not crash. Let's pull that in and let's make it a bit bigger. I can just scale this into Z actually. It doesn't have to be a perfect cylinder. So I'd have that shape and Control 1. Let's look from the back and let's pull this over here. And using this, let's add a mirror with respect to that over the side, over to that side. Okay, so I have these what looks like clips or hinges, whatever. I can apply that. I'm just wondering if I wanted to, if I selected them and I moved like this. Oh, I don't want to select all of them. Did I apply the mirror? Yeah, I applied it. Just what would it look like if it was right there? Would that look wrong? Yeah, it would. Let's leave it there. Okay, cool. All right, so we don't have too much left to do. Let's build the handle. Let's select, say, this face, Shift S, cursor to selected, and let's bring in a cube. In edit mode, let's hit scale, and then let's figure out where roughly the middle would be. You know, like just a little bit under there. So I got that distance there and this distance. It's not going to be perfect, but let's just go with that. Let's scale this in the X to make the length of the handle that we would potentially want. All right, and I'll bring this out. Oh, that's a good thickness actually. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Control R, roll my mouse up once. I want 2 edge loops and scale them in the X, but I think I'm in individual. No, I'm not. Scale in the X, and I'm going to do this and just leave what's roughly a square down here. All right, In face selection, I'm going to grab that face and that, and I'm going to make these stalks that this handle sits on coming outwards towards me, and then I'm going to flip the handle around. This is a little bit easier. So I'm going to hit I to inset and pull in a little ways, not too much, but something like that. And then I'm going to hit E to extrude, and I'm going to pull this out. Again, not too much. So keeping in mind, I'm going to rotate this handle around and join it to the body. So what's in, is highlighted right now will actually join the body of the briefcase. I want to do something else here, though. So I'm going to hit E to extrude. And if I hit S to scale and I do this, that happens. So I'm going to switch to individual origins, and then I'm going to hit S to scale, and it's going to scale them up individually. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to pull them down a little bit, like this. E to extrude, and pull them down a little bit more. And that's it. I'm going to come back to median point, because I often forget to do that. While I'm here, let's select these faces, and X, delete these faces. Object mode, that's not it, but origin of geometry, rotate in the X 180, RX 180. And push it into place, and let's see if we like this or hate this or what. It's not done yet. All right, it's going to be something like that so far. Okay, cool. So let's select it again. And in edge selection, I'm going to Shift Alt and click right here. And that's going to get the whole edge all the way, including underneath. And the same with this one. So I want the outside edges. Outside edges. Shift Alt. Control B, pull back. Give it a bit of a bevel like that. Have a look at that effect. All right, starting to look a little bit better. Let's do the top. Shift Alt and click that edge, but it doesn't go all the way around. That edge doesn't, so right there and right there. Same thing, Control B, pull back like that. Okay, have a look at that. Again, we're just going for sort of simple beveling, looks kind of chunky. All right, but we can do a little bit more on this if we want to. We can, in this region here, go Control R and roll your mouse wheel up a bunch of times. Click to accept, and then Control B and pull to create these areas in blue. Make them relatively nice and thick. Click, and then I want to extrude these inwards. E to extrude, and then Alt S and push up like that. But don't deselect yet. Switch over to individual origins and scale in the X, SX, to create this kind of angled part. Okay, come on out to object mode. All right, it's a little bit cheesy, but that's what we get. I'm not sure I'm crazy about how much angle there is here, so I'm going to try Shift Alt and click there and see if it goes all the way around, and it does. And this one, and I'm going to pull it up a little bit. I think I prefer it like that. And I'll take the whole handle and I'll push it in a little bit more. Now, is that handle big enough to hold this? Should I select it all and scale this in the Z? Let's just have a look at that. Well, you know what? I think it might be a little bit too far out from the case. I think I just feel like I want it closer. And in case you felt the same way, you could do this in a number of different ways. You could select it and go into edit mode. And in wireframe, you could, I like to do this in vertex, you could box select all of these vertices and pull it in a little bit. And that won't change any of your bevels or anything. And you can always undo that if you don't like it. I think I just wanted it a little bit closer. And that's basically the modeling of that. You know, beyond that, I mean, you could put a little plate on here if you wanted with your name or something. Shift S, cursor to selected. You could even just take this piece right there. It's got some thickness to it or not? Let's find out. Shift D, P to make it a new object. Grab it, origin to geometry. Let's pull it out and see what we got. Good, we got just like a plane. Go into edit mode. I just copied that front piece there. Scale this globally. And scale it in the X a little bit more. And maybe in the, oops, I hit X. SZ a little bit more. Let's see what happens if I bring this close to the, let's zoom in on it, or focus on it. E, pull it out a bit. And even Control B and pull back. Just like that. Let's see what it would look like if there was that there. You know, you could do something like that and put some kind of name on it with text. Should we try that? Oh, origin of geometry. And then we'll do Shift S, cursor selected. So it's right on that object there. Do you want to just join this and be done with it? All right, let's try a bit of text. I didn't do that before. Text. Okay, rotate X90 and bring it in. Let's no, that's going to change it. Okay, now let's not do that yet. Let's go, oh, jeez. Scale this. Sorry about that. Oh, man. Oh. Scale. Okay, what do we want this to say? Oh, obviously we want it to say James Bond, don't we? Of course we do. Okay, let's go over to F over here, the font, and let's choose horizontal alignment center, and try to center this up. And we could scale a bit more. Might be a little hard with that font, so let's click on font and see if I've opened any fonts in the last while. What's this open font? Gotta pull down here. Where's my pull down? Why can't I pull you down? Oh, I haven't done anything lately. So let's go to Windows, fonts, and I'm just gonna grab agency. All right, it's pretty standard for me. And let's increase the spacing. And bevel, resolution, size like that. Pull it back. Let's not do that. Let's extrude a bit. I don't know whether or not we like that font or not, but let's go with it. Okay, and then you would select the text. Let's pull that close a little bit. And Alt C, mesh from curve, and join it. Control J. It's done. James Bond.